Forget everything you think you know about ancient history. We're about to prove that civilizations like the Egyptians and Mayans weren't just building pyramids. They were foretelling the rise of artificial intelligence, space travel, and beyond. This isn't just theory. It's a deep dive into the shocking evidence that connects their wisdom directly to our modern technological breakthroughs. Imagine a world where ancient texts contain blueprints for our most advanced technology. Atlantis, the legendary city described by Plato, has long been the poster child for this idea. Far from being a simple fable of hubris, the myth of Atlantis speaks of a society that had harnessed immense energy sources, mastered engineering beyond comprehension, and succumbed only to its own arrogance. Today, researchers studying geothermal and renewable energy are struck by the parallels. Did the Atlanteans tap into the planet's natural forces in ways that resemble our own experiments with fusion reactors and solar grids? The Atlantean myth is not alone. Across the globe, myths and prophecies whisper of civilizations with wisdom far beyond their apparent capabilities. In the Greek tradition, Prometheus steals fire from the gods, a story often interpreted as humanity's leap into technology, carrying with it both progress and peril. In the texts of the Dogon people of Mali, knowledge of Sirius and its invisible companion star appeared long before modern telescopes confirmed their existence. How could such astronomical accuracy exist without advanced instruments? Too many. The answer is simple. Ancient foresight was more advanced than we dare to admit. These stories are not random. They suggest a hidden continuity of knowledge, an awareness that has survived in fragments, woven into myths, scriptures, and rituals. And as we compare their words with our realities, we begin to see not fantasy but foreshadowing. If there is a single thread running through ancient myths that electrifies modern imaginations, it is the description of flight. Ancient Indian texts like the Vimanas do not merely describe chariots of the gods. They detail complex flying machines capable of vertical takeoff, interstellar travel, and devastating weaponry. The Sanskrit epics, such as the Mahabharata and Ramayana, contain passages that, when translated, sound eerily like aviation manuals. They speak of mercury-powered engines, aerodynamic designs, and battles fought with radiant projectiles in the sky. For centuries, such descriptions were dismissed as poetic metaphor. But in the 20th century, with the invention of aircraft, space shuttles, and drones, the parallels became harder to ignore. Was this a coincidence of language, or did the ancients witness technology, whether human-made or otherworldly, that inspired these accounts? The Mayans, on the other hand, were obsessed with time and cosmic cycles. Their calendar, once sensationalized as predicting the end of the world in 2012, is now better understood as mapping cosmic alignments and energy shifts. Some scholars argue that the Mayan obsession with cyclical time mirrors the rhythms of technological revolutions. From the printing press to the internet to the dawn of artificial intelligence, humanity advances in waves. Could the Mayans have intuited, or even calculated, that these waves corresponded to patterns written in the stars? Beyond flight and cosmic time, other ancient cultures seem to anticipate artificial intelligence itself. The Greeks told of Talos, a giant bronze automaton created to guard the island of Crete. Chinese myths describe mechanical servants constructed by master inventors. Jewish mysticism speaks of the golem, a clay figure animated to serve its creator. In every tradition, the theme is consistent. Humanity dreams of creating life from lifeless matter. Today, as engineers craft neural networks and robotic systems that mimic thought and action, those myths no longer sound like stories. They read like early case studies. Perhaps the most haunting aspect of ancient foresight lies in medicine and energy. In ancient Egypt, physicians documented techniques that sound strikingly modern. They performed cranial surgery with surprising precision, set broken bones with splints that resemble orthopedic casts, and used honey as an antibacterial treatment long before germ theory was established. The Ebers Papyrus, dating to 1550 BCE, describes circulatory pathways and diagnostic methods that anticipate discoveries not fully articulated until thousands of years later. In Mesopotamia, cuneiform tablets reveal practices that suggest an intuitive understanding of electricity. The so-called Baghdad battery, a clay jar with copper and iron components, is believed by some to have been a primitive galvanic cell. While skeptics dismiss it as coincidence, others argue it might have been used for electroplating or therapeutic purposes. Either way, the principle that hints at harnessing energy through chemical reactions predates modern science by millennia. What makes these accounts astonishing is not just their existence but their precision. In our era of biotechnology, gene editing, and sustainable energy research, we find ourselves walking paths the ancients already hinted at. Their wisdom, preserved in fragile manuscripts and temple carvings, speaks of an awareness that transcended their apparent tools. It is as if they left behind fragments of a grander understanding, expecting us to rediscover them only when ready. Beyond the veil, ancient warnings and future possibilities. Yet alongside visions of wonder, the ancients also left us warnings. In almost every mythology, hubris is punished. Atlantis falls because its people abuse their technology. Prometheus suffers eternally for bringing fire to humans. The Tower of Babel collapses when humanity's ambition outpaces its wisdom. These are not merely moral parables, they read as cautionary tales about the dangers of unchecked innovation. As we stand on the brink of artificial general intelligence, space colonization, and genetic engineering, the warnings ring louder than ever. Ancient prophecies often speak of cycles, golden ages followed by collapse, civilizations rising to brilliance, only to be undone by their own excesses. Environmental degradation, war, and imbalance are recurring themes. The Hopi prophecy of North America, for example, describes a time when humanity will spin the web of technology so tightly that it risks entangling itself. It is difficult not to see parallels in our digital networks and the looming questions of AI governance. Some interpretations go even further, suggesting that ancient foresight included glimpses of our planetary future. Flood myths, found from Mesopotamia to Mesoamerica, speak of rising waters and global cataclysms. Today, climate change threatens coastal cities and alters global weather patterns, echoing those ancient fears. Were the myths merely records of past floods, or encrypted warnings of repeating cycles? When we read these prophecies with modern eyes, we are forced to ask, were the ancients visionaries warning us of dangers ahead, or are we retrofitting their stories to suit our anxieties? Perhaps both can be true. Myths endure precisely because they contain timeless truths that resonate across ages. So where did this ancient knowledge come from? Was it born of intuition, keen observation, or contact with something beyond our comprehension? Mainstream historians argue for the brilliance of human imagination, the ingenuity of trial and error, and the power of oral tradition. Alternative theories propose lost civilizations, forgotten technologies, or even extraterrestrial influence. Regardless of the source, the result is the same. The ancients embedded their foresight in stories, symbols, and structures that continue to inspire us. The pyramids of Egypt are not merely tombs, but astronomical markers. Stonehenge is not merely a circle of rocks, but a cosmic calendar. The myths of flying machines, automatons, and cataclysms are not mere bedtime stories, but fragments of a dialogue across time. As we invent machines that learn, explore planets beyond Earth, and manipulate the code of life itself, we are not creating in a vacuum. We are following whispers from the past, completing blueprints left unfinished, fulfilling prophecies we barely understand. To reconsider our past is to reshape our future. If we embrace the possibility that ancient wisdom contains both inspiration and warning, we gain not only humility but guidance. Perhaps the greatest lesson of all is that technology alone is never enough. Without wisdom, it becomes a weapon. With foresight, it becomes a tool for flourishing. The challenge, then, is to listen, to hear the echoes of Atlantis, the hum of Vimanas, the chants of Mayan astronomers, the whispers of Egyptian healers, to ask whether the unseen architect of our history was chance, genius, or something beyond, and finally, to recognize that the future we are building is one that the ancients may have already glimpsed. So, what do you believe? Were the ancients prophets, inventors, or dreamers whose imagination transcended their era? Share your own theories, question the narratives we've inherited, and join in the conversation about the profound implications of these historical echoes. After all, the past may not just be behind us, it may be pointing the way forward.